Hello and welcome back to First Impressions. This is a show where my co-host Dash Hooper and I evaluate a new album each week with a few simple ground rules. First, it must be an album we've never heard before. Second, we're only allowed to play it once. Then after that, we rate it in a variety of categories, taking extensive notes. Then we play it again and again so we can actually know what we're actually listening to. And today, we're going to be looking at the 2006 album, The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. So get out the eyeliner because we're going emo today. So we have two special guests. Another full house. This is our first show that we've had, our second show we've had with two people here. So Sarah, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderfully today. It was a very nice day today, so we got to enjoy some sun for a change. That was
That's good.
fun.
We're in Gloom in California, so it's kind of the opposite. There's this whole thing in San Bernardino, which is near where I live. There's this curse where they put a fairground over Indian, like sacred Indian land. So every week of that is just gloomy and rainy, and then the next week is perfect weather when the fair ends. So it's like, okay, it's curse week, so we're just sitting in rain and gloom, and I love
Oh,
it.
that's
So
fair.
I'm perfectly happy with it. So Travis, this is your first time on the show. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. Apparently, I don't know how to get on a sweater. It's very difficult. I was trying to put on a flannel, dress the part. I didn't have any eyeliner left over, but I got a
Yeah.
flannel.
I
And
did
it's
try
got a
to do
hood.
mine like that. The
There you go. I
like
got a
the
hood, so I'm ready.
You're ready. You're
I'm,
you're
I'm
you're
fully
embracing
embraced.
the emo.
I'm ready to cry. Yeah.
Yes,
Both
we're
my
about to
parents.
get in touch with emotions here, so
Yeah.
it's gonna
Last
be
time I heard
a
this, both my
powerful hour.
parents were alive. They're now dead, so I feel I can get it in a better way.
Now you're ready to experience
I'm
this
ready.
album
I'm
the way
ready.
that they meant it. So
I'm
yeah,
ready to see that they meant it.
yes. All right. So as always, we are going to start off with a history of the artist, and this time I actually knew a lot because I will give credit to my main resource for this, and that is the book Sellout by Dan Ozzie. If you're a fan of 90s punk, emo, post-hardcore, this book is so phenomenal. I recommend it as highly as I possibly can. It chronicles Jimmy Eat World, At the Drive-In, Green Day, Jawbreaker, My Chemical Romance, just all the bands I loved in that era, and it kind of tells about their full origin story and up to them all signing with a major label. So definitely give this book a read. That's where I got most of my resources. Normally it's, slow, small dive into Wikipedia to get what I need. But this time, since I had read the book, I just kind of grabbed my notes from there. So let's start off with the origin of the band. They formed in 2001 in Newark, New Jersey, and they were formed by the brothers Gerard Way and Mikey Way. Mikey was working as an intern at Eyeball Records, and because of that, he had access to all the local New Jersey musicians. So in 2001, he approached Jeff Rickley of Thursday at a house party, and he told Jeff that he and his brother Gerard were starting a band, and he attempted to play a song on kind of a broken guitar with missing strings. And Jeff Rickley, who at that point they had just released Full Collapse and was being approached by every shitty musician in New Jersey, he kind of blew him off. And then a few weeks later, the Mikey Way ran up to him and handed him a CDR to play in his car as Thursday was about to go on tour. And they heard the CD and first thought he was going to blow him off and realized, okay, there's something to it. So then Mikey goes, well, then you need to produce our album. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So finally, Jeff Rickley agreed to produce the album. And he, with Gerard Way, the singer of the band, he was originally going to become an artist. He had an art degree. He's done comic books and things like that as well. But at this time, he was pitching shows to Cartoon Network. He was working for toy companies. He had done cover work for DC and for Marvel, but nothing really made him passionate until the events of 9/11. He was seeing it from the New Jersey Turnpike, watching people react, and he thought, I need to become a musician. I need to take my art into my own hands. And that's when he formed the band, and they began to pester Jeff Rickley of Thursday. And he was joined by Ray Toro and Frankie Arrow, and they recorded with Jeff Rickley their debut album, I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, in 2002, and it was released on Eyeball Records that Mikey Way was working as an intern with, and it got a cult following, even though critically it got pretty panned, and even the fans know it's pretty uneven material, but it kind of put them into the spotlight and got them noticed by Reprise Records, which is an affiliate of Warner, I believe. And Reprise Records, this is, if you read that book, you can see it was kind of a feeding frenzy. They were just looking to sign every punk band because Green Day made the record label so much money. Every record label wanted a piece of, this punk and emo scene that was going on out there. And that's how they got signed, recorded the album Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge in 2004. And that was a huge hit. I actually have not heard any songs from it, but it had hits Helena, I'm Not Okay, I Promise, and The Ghost of You, and it propelled them into the mainstream and established them as, emo icons, and they had, kind of punk and theatrical styles. They were on TRL, so if you're old enough to remember MTV and how important it was to get on TRL, they were a part of that, and they were also one of the first bands that would use the internet to promote their work. They created a MySpace, which, it's so dated now, but at the time it was innovative, and other record labels kind of tried to steal that same model because they garnered huge success through MySpace, through unreleased songs on there, put songs on and let the fans decide which ones should be the singles. And all the record labels took note until, of course, MySpace died and no one thinks about it anymore. So that's a little background on the artists themselves. So you guys have anything to add? Anything about My Chemical Romance that I might have missed?
More than I knew about it.
Yeah,
the whole band. Yeah,
I know that the lead singer kind of looks like Billy Corrigan. That's all I know.
Yeah, Billy Corgan with hair. That's what he's been compared to that. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they're big Smashing Pumpkin fans. I don't remember. I know. Oh gosh, I'm just going blank on all my emos. Panic at the Disco. I know they're huge Smashing Pumpkin and Radiohead fans, and you can kind of hear that in these guys, where a lot of the bands like the early emo and post-hardcore, they were coming more from a punk place. These guys are coming more from a glammy place. So they love the Smiths, they love Radiohead, they love David Bowie. Their influences are broader instead of just kind of that angry punk, which is when you listen to the early emo, you hear a lot more of that in there. But yeah, like I said, I read the book, so I know a lot more. A lot of our artists, like, I give the most shallow knowledge of because, I didn't read a full book about them. But this one I read, 100-page chapter about My Chemical Romance, and Jeff Rickley, my own little connection. He gave me the permission to use lyrics from his song, Jeff Rickley of the band Thursday. If you haven't heard of them, great post-hardcore band. And I used the lyrics from Paris in Flames in Immortal Era with his permission. I just kind of accosted him at a merch booth and said, "Hey, I'm doing a comic book. Do you mind if I use your words?" And he's like, "Yeah, here, I'll get it cleared through the lawyers and everything." So yeah, it was cool that they did that. So I guess I'm a pest, just kind of like Mikey Way was. Like, I'm going to bother him, but he's a nice enough guy. He'll just say yes to people. That's what they've learned. Bother Jeff Rickley and you'll get what you want. All right. So talked a little bit about the artist. Let's talk about the album we're looking at today. And of course, that is The Black Parade. So this is their absolute biggest hit, of course. The one of anything I knew little bits from this one. I didn't really know anything else about them before going into this one. So The Black Parade was released in 2006, and it was released on Reprise Records, and it's, of course, considered their masterpiece album. They're touring it this year in baseball and football stadiums, so obviously it still resonates with the fans. And this album, it's a concept album. And it was released October 23rd. So I said 2006, but October 23rd. And it's a concept album and a rock opera that's about the patient. That's the story and the main character on this album. And he's dying of cancer and reflecting on his life. So what you're hearing are kind of life reflections on death, regrets, love lost, things he wishes he could change, and it explores that death and dying, redemption, forgiveness, nostalgia and trauma, and then eventually closing it out with a dash of hope. And he said that it comes, Gerard Way said that death comes for you in the form of the most powerful memories, and the most powerful memory of his character, the patient, is this parade that he went to. So that's where it gets its title, the Black Parade. They also said, because I listened to an interview with the band themselves where they were talking about this album, and they said their biggest influences were A Night at the Opera by Queen, The Wall by Pink Floyd, all David Bowie albums, and then Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles. So it's got all those kind of, you can hear those all throughout it. Like I heard Kiss, I heard Queen. You hear that because he's so large and, you know, flamboyant, but you still hear those kind of punk and emo roots in there. And this band, that for this album, they worked with Rob Cavallo. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. And he was the producer of Dookie and American Idiot. And you can kind of hear that too. American Idiot's kind of Green Day's big, epic spawning concept album. And he also, the reason they picked him wasn't because of what he did with Green Day. They picked him because of his work on Dear You, which is an album by Jawbreaker that initially, when it was first released, got so much hate. Critics were kind of off with it. The fans hated them because they changed their style. And that's, you know, the Sellout book kind of spends a lot of time talking about that specifically. And with that, it talks about, you know, the emo bands later found that album, discovered it, and it became the kind of the ground, the blueprint for what emo became after the early 90s emo. So that particular album, that's what made them want to work with him. And I think, you know, probably what he did with Green Day couldn't have hurt, but their reasons, if you hear them in interviews, they'll say it's because of what he did with Dear You. So yeah. Anyone have anything else to add about the album? Kind of just going through quickly, giving the overviews. So if you know anything that I missed, let me know.
I mentioned as I was listening to it, I said that sounds like Queen right there. Like there were definitely lots of hints of Queen in it.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the other ones so much, but I definitely caught Queen.
Yeah, I heard Queen, and then I heard one song where it was so much Kiss. I was like, dang, it felt like I think it was Detroit Rock City. I'm not a huge Kiss aficionado. I don't know that much.
Whoa.
Hey, I know you're going to throw some damn Kiss at me one day, and I will complain my way through your 70s rock again. You'll break my psyche completely. I'll just be fucking mumbling in the mic like 70s. So, yes, you can do it, and I'll be there because, I mean, I can't say no, but we got a lot of so, yes, great album. Yeah, because we played it earlier, and glad that you enjoyed it. I did too. When we get into this, you know, kind of no spoilers about our thoughts about this one, but the reviews of the album. So we always try to search. If it is available on Metacritic, we'll go there because that's kind of an easier thing. Like Rotten Tomatoes, it compiles all the reviews into one place, throws a number out based on how they scored. And it seems to be where we live. It got a 79. Everything we look at is kind of 79 to 81 around there. Rolling Stone shockingly gave it 4 stars because they give anything any other grades besides 4 stars. Everything we look at is 4 stars, 4 stars. Even like we talked about Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, one of the greatest albums of all time, 4 stars. They can't get out of that wheelhouse unless it's Bruce Springsteen or Pearl Jam's late material. Nothing gets anything better than 4 stars. So they gave it 4 stars. Enjoyed it. They compared it a lot to Queen, and you can hear that Queen in there for sure. And I'm sure watching him perform, you would see a lot of Freddie Mercury because I've seen just various clips, and he's definitely got that theatricality to his live performances. And Kerrang gave it a 5 out of 5. All Music gave it a 4 out of 5. Enemy scored it 8 out of 10. So it kind of lives in that wheelhouse. And then our guys at Pitchfork, which Pitchfork in their decimal system, they gave it a 5.5. This was when Pitchfork was really pissy about emo. They hated everything emo. They hated post-hardcore. They've kind of come to grips with it. I think it's because some of the reviewers they brought in grew up with it, so they're not as cantankerous about it. And they've thrown out a lot of those old reviews and tried to hide them. But yeah, Pitchfork's pissy about emo. If you go back and read their review of one of the Thursday albums I love, they basically are like, fuck this album, and they're terrible. So, all right, what
The
songs?
fact that you
wanna
used
see in the movie?
cantankerous was funny.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I wanted to say something about Gerald Wade. I'm speaking. I don't know what happened earlier.
Okay.
So I don't know a lot about him as a musician, but I know a lot about him as a comic writer.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the cool things about this particular album is this is when he was really trying to figure out comics. So he's inviting a lot of comic people in. Matthew Rosenberg being a huge influence of that. You know, he was trying to get Matthew Rosenberg, who was in the music punk scene at the time. If you don't follow him, you know, he did a lot. He toured with a whole bunch of bands. But one of the things that was really interesting about this particular time period is music and punk and like emo, like glam, like fun, and the Panic at Disco. They were all trying to get back to albums having stories, you know, because it had gone away. It was all about singles, and it was these guys who kind of brought that back. And if you listen to the Fun album at this time from 2006, I think it was. Can't think of the name. Oh, can't think of the name of the album. It's a Rocket.
Yeah, I know which
anyway.
one you're talking about, though.
Yeah. I'm so mad that I can't remember that album right now. It's their first album, but they were all talking about telling stories. You know, came into some night, and I find that super interesting, especially when you look at him also in his comic aspect. Umbrella Academy is long form storytelling, which is not what you do with indie comics. Like, it's such an interesting thing that he was like, I'm going to tell long form storytelling because nobody else is, and it's an important part. And I've heard him talk about that in so many interviews. And that's actually fascinated me a lot of times in the music is just he wanted to bring back this long form in music, which has really been gone. You get the album and look at the cover and, you know, tell the story. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I love the art he did for this album. I mean, you look at that art and it's just so beautiful. And it's, if you have the vinyl, it's just this gatefold that this image goes the entirety of the album. And it's just beautiful. I mean, it's kind of, you tell your story with the album, and that just makes me think of when I was a kid. You'd stare at the album and you could get so many stories just by looking at that cover, and he's still doing that. And that's one of the things that Jeff Rickley actually told him, because their early stuff was really unfocused. It was all over the place. And Jeff Rickley said, you're a comic writer. You need to make your music like your comics. Tell these stories, make yourself the hero, make someone the hero, and tell these stories. So, you know, Jeff realized where his strengths were. And that, like you said, it's something that came back with a lot of artists. You got, you know, American Idiot, even, it's telling a longer form story. You have, like you said, Panic at the Disco. I don't know if you've heard the Decemberists. They're not punk or emo, but they do storytelling in their albums, or they do one single song, you know, or one single album that's just a narrative story. So it's great to hear that thing come back. And I don't know if we really hear that so much anymore.
Yeah, I think all the bands that are kind of on the fringes of popularity, right? They can fill stadiums, but nobody knows who they are, like the Lumineers or AJR, right? Like they can fill stadiums, but like they're not really played that much. Maybe one song is played on the radio, but their new album isn't, but they can still fill stadiums. I think all of them kind of went to this and because of Black Parade and that kind of movement of storytelling albums where we want to go back to stories, because that's, you know, when Dash talks about the 70s, that's what I love about 70s music is you're getting a movie, a story, you know. If you have to listen to these stories. Wonderful thing, like Bat Out of Hell is my favorite album of all time because of that is an epic story. You're telling me some crazy shenanigans, you know, and then you do it again for Bat Out of Hell 2. And then you fuck it up for Bat Out of Hell 3, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about Bat Out of Hell 3.
We won't mention part 3. All right, they do. They actually, at least in LA, My Chemical Romance, is playing 2 days at Dodger Stadium. I mean, there's still scattered seats available, but the first night is like 98% sold out. What's left is just random singles. So arenas, they can do arenas easy. When they did their 2019 comeback tour, I think, no, 2022. It's 2019, but of course it got pushed because 2020 happened. But that filled. I mean, LA's a hard one because LA sells better than a lot of the other cities, but they sold out 6 nights in a row, I believe, at the Forum or Crypto Arena. I don't remember which one they played. So yeah, they can fill both pretty easily now because they've kind of got younger kids like both my kids enjoy them, listen to them, and I was talking to some of their friends, even love them and wanted to hear. They're actually going to tune into this episode because they want to hear what I have to say, and if they're going to yell at me like I'm shitty old man, or be like, "We embrace you, old man emo. We got you." So
what's your teaching level? I forgot.
I teach 3rd grade right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they're not going to hate you for your music taste yet. They don't quite know.
No, they don't know what music is. They only know what TikTok music is at that point. So, yeah, it's a.
So you've heard a lot of lava chicken this week, huh? A lot of lava chicken from Minecraft.
Oh, it's always that. I mean, it's the hottest thing for sure. So, yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about our background with this band, with this album. So Sarah, what's your history with this album?
Oh, I was just out of high school, I think, when this one came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I, and I was like, I grew up in a small rural farming community, like it was not okay. Like I desperately wanted to be emo or goth, but I was like, well, I don't want to get the shit beat out of me either, so I'll just be inside, like I'll be goth in my heart, I'll be emo in my heart, and I just so badly wanted to get good at eyeliner and wear crazy outfits that were somehow monochrome but also weird. And so I remember really latching on to the weird bands, they're not weird, but it's the time they seemed weird and out there for us.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of it in my, just quietly listening to it in my car on the way to work or when I got home at the end of the day. And it, I don't know if it got me through working at Walmart, but it helped.
Anything you can do to help that.
You know.
It probably helped.
I mean, it's basically a black parade every day at Walmart, as from what I understand.
Yeah. And that was the only time in my life that I actually smoked cigarettes too. So, if that says anything about how Walmart is.
You needed to smoke cloves to go full emo.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I guess it'd be vaping to go emo. So Travis, what's your history with this album?
So my history, this is the first album I picked up after I read Umbrella Academy. So I was more into the comics part of it. I think I had heard parts of it, because I listen to a lot of punk. So it comes up periodically, and I'm a big fan of band. I mentioned Fun earlier, but I'm a big fan of that band. So it's kind of in the same zeitgeist. I don't love Panic, but now and then I partake when I feel angry enough. But I really, had a long fascination with the title track, the Black Parade. It's such a resonating song, and I've listened to it. I listen to it a lot before I do death scenes and comics and stuff like that. I actually listen to that song quite a lot. And it's not like emo, like I think about my family or dad, just about your life and legacy and what that means. But in an angry way, which is, I love Cass. Cass, does Chaos normally come here? Because he needs to be here all the time, because Chaos is perfect. He's a friend of mine, loves punk, loves this stuff. I shared it to my network. So
okay, yeah. So Chaos, well, welcome. Yeah. We do this every week. We talk about different albums, and we have some crazy shit coming up in May and June, and we have some good good lesser known punk and some death metal. So we're getting out of our wheelhouse, and it should be fun. So Chaos, thank you for joining us. So
the other thing for this song that's super important is I have a decent range because I was in theater. And this shows your range without having to bury your range. So it's a very good karaoke song.
Okay.
So I could belt it really high, but not hit the notes where it's going to be embarrassing. Because he doesn't go that extra, Freddie Mercury, he doesn't go that extra mile just enough, to do it. So I would jam this a lot, and it tended to be a hit most of the time in karaoke.
You could own the karaoke room.
They have a few really good karaoke songs, don't they?
Yeah.
I have no range, so I can only do like the talky parts of B-52 songs. Like I can do that guy. Like I can run the room if I just have to talk with flair. That's all you got to do for that one.
If we ever do karaoke, I'll do the singing parts, and you can do the talking parts.
Hey, there's a show right there. We need a karaoke night on.
Oh my God, how fun would that be?
Show.
Like,
of course,
we'll
get kicked off YouTube
all of
after
us
5
indie people
seconds,
get together and we just do a karaoke night. That would be so fun.
I'm here for that. Like I said, I'll just do all the talking parts from the B-52s. That's my wheelhouse. We won a karaoke award on the cruise ship. It was presented by Yakov Smirnoff. I was so fucking pumped. It's like, Yakov Smirnoff, dude, I remember you from the commercials. What the country? You're my man. I freaking loved it.
Famous now. You are internet famous with Yakov Smirnoff.
I was telling my wife, I was like, this is the greatest station. Like, who's Yakov Smirnoff? I'm like, how are we married?
Oh, it's funny.
All right. So I guess my history, I was huge into, after high school, I was big into the punk scene, the ska scene. And those scenes, I loved them, but they were, a lot of the people that loved those scenes were kind of dicks. Like, all right, if you walk in a Radiohead shirt to the punk show, they're going to be throwing shit at you. So I kind of found the emo scene, but we're talking 90s emo. So Sunny Day Real Estate, Get Up Kids, Promise Ring. And I loved that scene. And for a while, My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco felt like a huge departure from that scene, because that scene was more introspective punk rock. It was more, the thinking man's, feeling man's punk rock and hardcore. And I kind of turned away from it for a while, but realized, all right, I was just being a dick. But we have talked about in the past how I would see mainstream stuff and be like, no, I don't listen to that. I'm going to go listen to Built to Spill now because I don't listen to that stuff that's on TRL. So my musical jerkiness kind of pulled me away from them, but I'm glad I got to come back and start listening to them. And I have seen them play a couple times. They opened for Thursday early on. We're talking like 2003-ish. So I've seen them a few times live, enjoyed them, but yeah, talked to them at the merch booth, that kind of stuff, but not really. When it started to become the cool thing and I was like, I'm not cool enough to be eyeliner guy and hang with these guys, then I stopped listening to it. And yeah, that's my own fault. I talk about it all the time. I need to not be that way.
Yeah, I have no history, so.
Yeah, you have no history. All right, so that makes it easy because it wasn't being played when you were deployed. So if it wasn't, then your history,
your lack of history was actually quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a lot, like we talked about. A lot of this, some of the albums that he's put out for me to listen to were like brand new and like I would say in the 2010s, even though they came out early or late 90s, 2000s. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear a lot of them until the 2010s, and so like people be talking about, I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So I like, when I first listened to this, it was so we'll get to that, but my history with a lot of these is slim to none.
All right, so now let's start it off. Overall thoughts. Sarah, what were your overall thoughts on this album?
Like this album overall, I am when I was thinking about how you gauge it on like whether you could run to it or not, and I was sitting there going, can I do my cooking, supper, and dancing to it thing? And you really can't. I mean, it's not quite. There's a one or two songs in there where you can dance to it while you're tossing around hot stuff, but you can't, like, it's, and the words, the lyrics are very they're a lot meatier, so you have to think about what you're listening to. You can't just enjoy it like some of the fluffier, poppier songs. but that's what makes it interesting, is that you do have to think about the music and think about the lyrics as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can, there's only like one song on there that I know for sure that you could dance in while you're listening. And not, and even then the lyrics are meaty, like all the lyrics in this are heavy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, overall I like this song. I like this whole album. And I'd only heard 2 songs off of it. I thought I only heard 1, but I did hear 2. So
same. Yeah. I thought 1 was completely yeah, so he makes comics, Dan. Yeah. Travis has given us that history of that one. So yeah, he does. They're great, and that's how Travis got into them. So Travis, what were your overall thoughts of this album?
That's it still stands up to me, now that I know Gerald Ray as the artist more as a comic writer, and I go back and listen to it now, because like I said, when I listened to it the first time, I was listening to it specifically because there's so many posers who come into the comic scene who do like who are musicians who are like, oh, I'm going to make a comic, and they do a comic and then they disappear, and they were like, oh, this is just going to be extra, money or whatever, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But hearing, his storytelling and hearing, Umbrella Academy specifically, or Killjoys, like you can hear it's basically like a lyric sheet for those for those comics, which is great. So I love the Meteor. I have a thing for emo. I have a thing that really speaks to like brokenness. So this album speaks to a brokenness, and it speaks to allowing that brokenness and keeping that brokenness this right here when it's okay. So I love stuff like that. That's why I love punk rock. Anything that's like let's keep it right here. Punk rock, you normally want to let it out. He wants you to keep it like right here. But I overall, I think this is one of the better albums. I even though it's, I always hate to go to the one that everyone likes, but I really think it's probably, in my opinion, it's best.
Yeah, I mean, I think they like it for a reason. If an album's good, it's gonna resonate with people. And even though like that was my thing, is like, oh, too many people like it, so I don't want to hear it. But it's like, damn, they like it because it's actually good. And there's a reason they're clamoring toward it. All right, so Dash, what were your thoughts?
I mean, you know me, I have to if it get the head bobbing. I didn't get the head bobbing right away, so like I thought it started out well. It obviously for me it picked up right in the middle. So we're talking at the end of LP 1 and then going into the second LP is where it really picked up for me. So you got Black Parade, you've got I Don't Love You. Those is where for some reason those are the ones that really stuck with me. So went right through there, and I thought it closed the closing song, not the hidden track, but the closing song. I thought, like you talked about earlier, really sold this as because if I'm new to this album, so I didn't know till after I listened to it once, did my research afterwards. So but I was like right away, this is a story. Somebody's telling me a story, and for me, that's what I love. And we talked about, just like Travis said, if I'm going to write some scenes in my books that need some heavy emotions, this would probably be an album I would throw on to get myself into the heavy emotions of writing, because and as Sarah said, the depth of the lyrics, they're heavy, and they're heavy for a good reason. So I really enjoyed that part of it. Thought overall it was a fantastic album, though, for my first time, and this really was my very first time hearing this one. So yeah, I enjoyed everything. I mean, started off a little slow for me, but really picked up towards the end. So enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a sweeping album. It's got so much depth to it, and emo, it's the joke, like you make jokes about it, but it does have depth. He's wearing his emotions on his sleeve, and it's talking about losing life and eventually coming to terms with everything that's going on. And it's it's popular because it's good, and that's why it's selling out Dodger Stadium for 2 nights. So people love it for everything that's there, except for Pitchfork. And Pitchfork, like I said, they're always pissy toward emo. Even though they ranked one of the Sunny Day Real Estate albums as their top album of the year, they hid that, and they went back and retracted it because they're like, no, we're too cool to like emo. So yeah, it's, you know, I just thought, you know, this is punk rock for theater kids. And, you know, that's amazing because it doesn't, you know, it's not punk rock where you're going to get in the pit and get crushed by somebody, because I've been crushed by somebody in the mosh pit, and, you know, there's fun in that as well. But this is like, all right, you can be a theater kid, you can still love Radiohead, and you can still love David Bowie, and you can get into this one. So yeah, it was good stuff. I enjoyed this one a lot. All right, so now let's dig into our favorite songs. So Sarah, what's one of your favorite songs on this one?
It is hard to pick a favorite song, and of the ones, so two of the songs that I had heard were like, well, obviously that's why I heard them, because they were the funnest ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
But of the ones that I haven't heard, I think that my favorite is Mama, which it's
there you go.
it has God, I can't remember the lyrics anymore, but now but I remember being like, just starting off just kind of, you know, bobbing my head to the song, to the music, and then thinking, wait, what did he say? and then paying attention to the lyrics.
We're all going to hell. So
yeah.
Yeah, that I loved that one too. And for me, it sounded like a gypsy punk song. I don't know if you know gypsy punk as a genre, but Gogo Bordello, shout out, they fucking rule. So go listen to some Gogo Bordello. You'll be happy. And if you kind of like Mama, that kind of bobbing, you know, little gypsy style, listen to some Gogo Bordello. You will not be sad. Go see them play live. You will certainly not be sad, because Eugene Hutz is a maniac on the stage. But yeah, when I heard that immediately, I'm like, oh, this is some gypsy punk vibes. I'm feeling this one. So I am right there with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's heard the Black Parade by now, right? Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yeah.
And like, that's the one that the joke is that you can trigger an entire generation with a single note on a piano, right? Like that's the one. And you can too. Like, you just, that one note is all it takes, and you know exactly what song's gonna play.
Yep.
Yeah, Jack Black just did a parody thing to it the other day.
Did he?
Like,
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was the one I was telling you about. He was doing a parody.
Yeah,
it's a good song to parody. It's a pretty iconic song.
It's just so damn good. I mean, it may be played out and it might be that, but it's, you know, kind of every generation has their anthem. You know, you look at the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, there's those songs that are that generation owns them, and that's, you know, for the 2000 millennials, that's their song. That's their one, you know, that they can scream along with at a giant baseball stadium, and you know, everyone in that crowd's going to know every lyric, and some of them are going to be crying as they're singing along with it. So it's that big because it's that damn good. I mean, it's one of those ones I can hear it a million times and I'm still not tired of it.
Yep. And that one's a good karaoke one too, right, Travis? That one's a
good
one.
100%. That's the one you need.
I think you
hey, I needed that link. There. Why'd you get rid of that? I needed that link.
No, I clicked it because it's just habitual for me to hit that. I'm like,
no, I needed that link. Now I don't know where we're going. Man,
bastard. I'm sorry.
Where are we gonna get cheap
How will
viewers
I get cheap views?
Cheap viewers on StreamYard. Go fuck yourself. All right, so you know,
Stream Boo.
So for me, I really like House of Wolves because it reminds me of Jim Steinman lyrics. But not Jim Steinman music, which is
music. Yeah,
it sounds like a Jim Steinman song, but it is not Jim Steinman music in any way, shape, or form. You know, like lyrically it is, but like musically it is not.
Yeah,
and I like the way that plays out. It makes me laugh just thinking of it, because you know Jim Steinman talks about wolves and angels and sinning, and like that's kind of his whole stick, and then just hearing it in an emo song really resonates with me.
And then I was thinking about this, Dash, just for us, this is the 3 Wolf songs in 3 albums we've looked at.
In a row.
Three Wolf songs in a row. So yeah, Wolf is the new theme of this show, it appears. And now Steinman, we got to pull out some Wolf songs by him. Travis can torture me and like make that his next request, because yes, we honor all requests, but man, we have a lot coming up. So yeah, one of the ones I loved This Is How I Disappear. It felt kind of like a marriage of Green Day and Queen. So you have that pop punk aesthetic, and the glam rock aesthetic, and just this, you know, insanely catchy chorus that you just get stuck in your head. And I couldn't give this one the run test because on Sunday I got my foot caught in a gopher hole and wrecked my ankle. So I'm imagining it would pass the run test, but bastard gopher destroyed that chance. But I'm thinking I can probably run to this one. It's got enough upbeat to it that it'll keep my tempo moving. But yeah, I really love that one. That's the one that's just stuck in my head. Besides Welcome to the Black Parade, which, I mean, that's always stuck in my head. The moment you hear, like you said, that opening piano, now the whole song's going to play through your head. It reminds me of the South Park with Cartman. And if you sing one note of Sailing Away, Cartman has to sing the whole song. Because it's like, yep, that shit gets stuck in your head. That's just how it goes. All right. So any other songs you want to mention, Sarah? Or Dad, go ahead.
For me, the upbeats. I really got into the mood of this album with the slower ones. So like the I Don't Love You. Like we're gonna all talk. Everybody's gonna talk about Black Parade. We all know that's a good song. So I'm just gonna not throw that. But I Don't Love You. Cancer was a good song for me. I loved the theme of that one. I mean, I shouldn't say I love the theme, but I understand what the theme of that one is. And Disenchanted was another one of my favorite songs on this one. Those were the ones
you were feeling the slower stuff.
Spoke to me. I was feeling, you know, usually that's not me. Usually I'm the upbeat. Yeah, I like the fast. I like the beat, the head bopping. But for this album, those were the ones that really, really stuck out to me the most. That I actually, you know, that when you can do the goosebump test if you want, if you know what I'm talking about. That when you're listening to a song and you get those chill bumps or goosebumps, you know it's a good song. And those, especially those three, for me, I Don't Love You, Cancer, and Disenchanted were the ones that I felt, because you know it was, you understood the story of what's going on from their point of view. So yeah, those are the ones that really, while, you know, again, I agree with you on This Is How I Disappear. It's a really good song, but the slower ones really got me on this one for the probably the first time in a while. Its slow song has really hit me where I said it was one of the better songs.
Normally that you're the opposite on that one. So Travis, any other songs stick out to you on this one?
I mean, I like the bonus track, but not because it's a song, just because I like hidden tracks. It just reminds me of the old CD Nirvana days, and, you know, and you tell your friends and you'd be all excited. And then you know, remember CD, you know, on tape, you know, it was a real secret, but then when it went to CDs, you kind of knew, look, there's a 13. Like, why is there a 13? It's a 12 album. Like, what's this?
So I think I first discovered the hidden track stuff after CDs, and I was always like, why is there like 10 minutes of dead space in this? And that always got me. I was like, I guess that mine's broken. And then when I finally had the brains to let it just run and figured it out. And I like that one too. That one was fun. Yeah,
that's a fun one. And I didn't know it existed because I was playing the album and I think I was cooking while I was playing it, same kind of thing like you were doing. Yeah. And I just didn't get up to change it. I'm like, I'll change it in a minute. I'm like, oh wait, new song. So on vinyl they hide them too. So you gotta love that. And CD, I remember like Tool, it'd be like track 69. So it'd just be like these little 1 second tracks all the way to get up to that point. So yeah, you gotta love the hidden track, or on vinyl where they play like that infinite loop to close out an album too. You gotta love when artists are playing around with that kind of stuff. So yes, Blood, I love it. Good stuff.
I think it's an interesting move too when you talk about this being a story album and it has a closure and then there's a bonus song. It's kind of weird and doesn't fit the whole thing, but it fits the genre of music, like the punk and emo scene and their influences 100%, but doesn't fit the album per se, right?
Yeah. That's where I got the Sgt. Pepper vibe from Blood for some. Yeah. That's it. It just made me it probably shouldn't have made me chuckle, but it made me chuckle. But yeah, I like the hidden track.
Yeah, so it's always fun. So before we move on, any other songs you want to shout out before we talk about our favorite lyrics?
No, but we talked about Mama and didn't mention Liza Minnelli.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Like,
it took me a moment to figure that was her.
Even in 2006, like who needed Liza Minnelli?
Yeah, and they
what I want to know what that conversation was that got Liza to agree to do it, because she doesn't do anything for anybody anymore. Like especially now she's getting up there in age, but like she even then, like, she's freaking Liza Minnelli. She doesn't need your stupid
from what I've heard album. Mikey Way is a very persuasive guy. He got Jeff Rickley to produce his album after hearing one track because he just wouldn't take no for an answer. They got on their second album, I believe, they got Keith Morris to come in and do a spoken word part. And you don't think, Keith Morris of Black Flag, of Circle Jerks, he's not who you imagine with My Chemical Romance, but they don't take no for an answer. I guess they cornered him at a gas station and begged him until he said yes. So maybe it was the same with Liza Minnelli. She just had the unfortunate thing of being at the same gas station, and Mikey Way's like,
I can't imagine Liza Minnelli being at the same gas station, any gas station, but I can imagine that they shopped at the same sorts of stores for clothes.
Yeah, so there you go. Somehow they found her and got her in.
Liza Minnelli joined My Chemical Romance's song Mama because Gerard Way wanted a voice that was both motherly and rooted in theater of reminiscent of Judy Garland, his grandmother, and whose life had been affected by hardship. So he immediately called up Liza Minnelli, pitched it to her, and she agreed right away.
Wow. So it wasn't Mikey with his persistence, because I know he was the one that got Keith Morris in. So yeah, he pitched her and she was in. That's funny. So yes.
Well, when you think about Liza, or at least when I think about Liza, you think about like, and this is a theater kid thing, probably Glee or all that. It's always a joke, right? Like, like we gotta impress Liza, or what would Liza say? Or she's always like that running gag in theater, movie, High School Musical or Glee or whatever, So to have her actually in something is just confusing and odd.
Confusing, odd, and amazing that they called her and she said yes, because you don't see her in a lot of stuff, or hear her in a lot of stuff, I should say.
Yeah.
And I guess besides that, like Arrested Development, when she had her weird little stretch in that as well. So yeah, I guess you can get her. You just gotta give the right pitch.
Well, I haven't seen one concert. How do they do that? How do they do Liza? Or do they not play that song? So
yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on in the concert. I'm guessing she'll come to whatever city she's close to. Maybe she'll come out and do a little guest appearance, and then if not, they get someone who can sound kind of close, or they just play it on tape in the background.
Right.
That's probably the easiest way, because who sounds like Liza?
Nobody.
She's like 80 years old or something now too, and I don't know if she's got mobility issues, but the last time I saw her make a public appearance, she was in a wheelchair, so she was either recovering.
She's probably
not
going anywhere.
She does, yeah. But I mean, you saw some of the stuff that she did, like cabaret and stuff, where she your leg is not supposed to do that, and she was doing that with
the high kick way up here.
Yeah, and where she swung it around the chair, like that is not something that regular people do. That is something you have to train your body to do. And so she probably has, I think she has both her hips got replaced. Yeah. And, that's just a thing that when you do that dance career, you just got to plan for that. But
yeah, I'd say so. If you're kicking like that.
I think she's still sharp and everything. I think it's just that her mobility is no longer that great, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, best lyrics. What are some lyrics that stood out to you on this one? Travis, what lyrics did you pick up in this one?
Hold on. One of the ones that I really liked is a line in Dead. Mm-hmm. And it goes, tongue-tied and oh so squeamish, you never fall in love. Did you get what you deserve, the ending of your life? Like, it's just such a, like, when you're going through that like time where you're trying to figure out if the relationship was worth it, like that line really resonated with me. Like, did any of it matter? Because you always get that point when you're breaking up with someone, like, what was the point of that? Like it was supposed to be, because at one point you said forever and now it's not. Like, what was the point? So I really resonated, and all the lyrics in that particular song are kind of like an echo of that. That's my particular favorite, obviously.
Yeah. So Sarah, any lyrics stand out to you in this one?
Teenagers seems kind of spookily prescient right now, doesn't it? Like pretty much the whole song. But those first couple of verses in particular where they're talking about how they're gonna clean up your looks with the lies in the books and
Right.
and you're sleeping with a gun and stuff. That's it's kind of on the nose with a lot of stuff happening right now. So
yeah, sadly.
yeah. So I was like, I don't like that this is like what is it, like a 15-year-old album now?
2006, so almost 20 years old.
Yeah, God. So yeah, it's and it like they called that stuff 20 years ago almost, and it's still a thing, and that's just it's a little depressing.
Yeah,
my daughter.
Then the whole album's depressing. So
my daughter happened to be listening to that right now. That's her like shower song. So she's been listening to it for weeks. And she's 12. She's going on to teenager. So
yeah,
there's some of that embracing of that. So it's interesting.
And, I mean, teenagers they didn't seem scary when I listened to the song the first time, but they kind of are scary now.
You were closer to being a teenager the first time around. Now,
exactly.
I've subbed in high school. They're scary as hell. It's no joke.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my nephew and my niece are teenagers now, and I'm just like, you guys are kind of monsters sometimes, aren't you?
Yeah.
My nephew, he's I guess it's not fair because guys, you boys didn't have to go through all the hormonal crap of like I mean, to this, like adult women have to deal with the swinging hormones, but that it's I think it's just got to be worse for girls because you've seen the mood swings that teenage girls have. It's way worse than I've ever seen a boy do. And so my sister's daughter, she's a wonderful person, but sometimes she's kind of a monster. And it's what there's nothing you can do. You got to wait it out, but I mean, she's a wonderful person, and me calling her a monster is just that, like, sometimes she just gets that mad, and even she doesn't know why. And so it's like, teenagers, right?
Yeah, so go after Sarah. We think you're perfectly wonderful. I haven't met you, but I'm sure you're great.
I'm sure she was going to go after me anyway, regardless of whether she ever heard this.
Monster, let's go.
I think I called her a dickhead at Christmas, so.
That's a good one, though. That's always a good go-to, though.
Yeah, well, I said don't be a dickhead. I guess I didn't call her a dickhead. I said don't be a dickhead, so.
She was actively being a dickhead. You had to call her out on it.
Yeah, it's like, and it also had to do with getting a one cup full of brandy slush, and whether or not that was okay. And it was a whole conversation, and I don't remember what else, but I do remember don't be a dickhead. Yes.
All right, so let me see. One of the lyrics I got, Disenchanted, I thought had some good lyrics in there.
Yes.
Another one of the kind of mid ones. So you're just a sad song with nothing to say. So just he's thinking about burning out, fading away, his passion's going away because the character is dying of cancer. In the end, does he make it through? We don't know. It kind of gives us that ambiguous ending until the bonus track, which kind of breaks the whole vibe of it, which, you gotta love it. And then let me see, the famous last words, I'm not afraid to keep on living. I'm not afraid to walk this world alone. So he's finally coming to it like, I can live through this. Maybe the cancer is not terminal. The patient can live and he can walk alone. He doesn't need to be shackled to those relationships that were disintegrating and all that depression and grief that he was feeling. Now he can walk the world alone, and nothing can stop me. Nothing you can say can stop me from going home. So is this home as in he's going back to his own home, or home as in leaving life for the afterlife? So I love the ambiguity with that particular ending, and there's just great lyrics throughout. Kind of like Travis was saying, like with his comic book, you can see what kind of a writer he is, and he could turn this into a great comic book, and one day maybe he will. Just the graphic novel of the Black Parade would be good. So now the question we come to, before I move on, any other lyrics you want to call out? I'm sorry, did I not get you, Dash?
You always forget me. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Cancer.
It's Joe Wolf Revenge. This is still anger from last week. Sorry.
It is anger. I think we've all known, at least probably known somebody that's gone through it, and the now turn away because I'm awful just to see, because all my hairs abandoned all my body, all my agony, but maybe I'm just soggy from the chemo. I lost both my parents to cancer, so I understand the big meaning, and I know what they're. I know that I can relate to those words, and I think that's what just stood out. It's just wonderful lyrics, and like you said, everything. I think the entire Disenchanted, the entire song is beautifully written from that standpoint. It's hard for me to even just to sit there and say pick out a line from that song when because this is a song I want to learn myself to sing, because I just love Disenchanted so much, and so those are the I could just say the whole song stood out to me on that one as far as lyrics go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the band's strength, right? The band's strength is having, like Sarah said, these bulky, you can't dance to music that really speaks to them and then goes in a rhythmic song, which is very, very hard because they're bulky lyrics, I mean, look at the Black Parade. It is a tough song to really sing, obviously we got the We Carry On, and we've got the, when I was a young boy, but beyond that, like, he's got this whole like middle section that most of us can't sing because it's so fast and dense and quick, and says a lot of like things that make you think. I've always noticed when you're trying when I was in chorus and singing, if a song's making you think, it stops you for a minute because your brain's trying to be like, wait, what did I say?
Singing a song in choir or just learning to sing a specific song really does get you, like, you become it's almost like that song's a friend, isn't it? Like, it's right. It's a weird thing to say, but like, that's to me like the songs that I really took the time to learn, and then the songs that we learned in chorus, and choir and triple trio and all those different ones. Those are the ones that I remember. Even when I hated them, it is almost like they're friends. They're comfort. They're comfort for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool.
I think
absolutely.
They absolutely. I think they mean something and they become managers. So one of the things, just a random choir thing for me that I think is kind of relevant. So we really, I don't know why, because it wasn't relevant at the time, but we wanted to sing The Gambler. All the men in chorus wanted to sing The Gambler. And we sang it. So we practiced it tons and tons of times. And then it was the last concert of the year. We're like, all right, do we get to sing it? And I remember our music teacher going, no, this is only for you guys. I don't know what's inappropriate about it, but you guys really want to sing it a lot, and I don't trust it.
No, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong to distrust teenagers.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't know what's wrong with the song. She's like, I'm 100% honest, but you guys want to sing this so bad, and I just don't trust it.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't know. Never trust the teenagers. Yeah. My Chemical Romance wasn't wrong. The teenagers are scary. And man, if high school teachers, props to you. I mean, I work with the little ones because teenagers are scary.
Same year, we were supposed to see Miss Saigon, and I showed everyone what Miss Saigon was about. And then we were informed we were not seeing Miss Saigon.
That ended that one.
Yeah, I figured that would be one you didn't get.
There went that one. All right. So
was there some weird? I have to know. It's not on topic, but was there some secret reason for singing The Gambler, or was it just you were talking about Kenny Rogers, right?
You just liked it.
Kenny Rogers is a gambler,
That's it.
No,
okay.
She
was absolutely right to distrust you. However, because
there was
there's
zero,
nothing dirty about The Gambler.
Okay,
because I'm thinking about that song, and I was like, is there a part that I missed on that one that was bad? It's Kenny Rogers. I mean, how could you be more vanilla than Kenny Rogers? He is.
Yeah. Maybe smoking the cigarette and drinking the last swallow may have been the only thing that might have been
That's
questionable. But even I know we sang it in choir though. So I mean,
man.
Yeah,
she acts like you're trying to sing Stagger Lee by Nick Cave or something, but The Gambler seems pretty safe.
I applaud your choice because that was a good song. So
It is a good. It still is a good song. It's still.
It
holds up.
It still is a good song.
Yeah.
All right. So any songs to skip on this one? So Sarah, any ones you want to skip?
I don't know if I want to skip the end. I it's the end for me, but
Okay.
it's I don't know if I want to skip it, but I think I want to move it because I think that I would prefer something more impactful for my first song. Like Dash said, it was a little tough to open up in, to start this one when this whole album. I think that the end I don't think like I said, I don't think I want to skip it, but I think I want to move it. And that's tough to say too, because I can also understand why it is where it is. And so, yeah, but I think that I would just want to open with something a little more upbeat, musically upbeat, because obviously none of their lyrics are that upbeat.
Yeah.
but yeah, musically upbeat to get you into jumping into it right away, so that even though you have a slower song that maybe you're not as crazy about, for me, the end, you'll power through it even though you're not crazy about that song. But opening with that one that was kind of slow and depressing. They're all depressing.
Yeah,
if you think
it's
about
pretty
it hard
depressing
enough,
and the overall themes. I mean, when you're talking about a song about cancer, it's going to be a rough listen. But yeah, we talk about it a lot on the show, resequencing albums, because sometimes they start weak, they end weak, and you can move one song and change the whole vibe of the album. So that one, I think the second song gets a lot more upbeat. That one could have been a better opener. Put the end somewhere more after a more of an upbeat number as kind of a let it come down for a little bit to breathe and then get back up. So yeah, resequencing. So you're not saying skip it, you're saying shuffle it somewhere else on the album for better placement.
I did like that song. I just thought it wasn't a strong opener.
Yeah.
All.
I agree. Yeah. Dead should have opened is the way I feel like it should have.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So Travis, anything you're skipping on this one?
See, being a lover of storytelling and albums that tell stories, Queen, Meatloaf being two major influences in my life. I just can't, because I know it's a story, right?
Yeah.
Like even when I hear it, like on the radio, or if it's stuck in a mix, unless it's Teenagers or Black Parade, like those are the only ones like I don't need to hear the next song because I've heard them separately enough in my life. But if I hear any of the lesser tracks, quote unquote, like I'm gonna want the next one in hammer, because I want to hear. I'm in the middle of a story, right? I want to finish a story. So unfortunately, because of the way my brain works, no, you can't skip any.
No skippers. I guess maybe the only way you can skip is Blood at the end, because it's the album's already over, but it's not a bad song, so no reason to skip it.
That one was just so ridiculous and out there, though. Like I can forgive somebody skipping it because they didn't know it was there.
Yeah,
but I don't think I can forgive you skipping it because you don't want to listen to it. Like
no, it's catchy
like you said, the hidden tracks are always the best ones. Like they're always the funnest, weirdest, just most experimental. Like you gotta listen to them.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to because I go deep. If you listen to the B tracks, it does kind of fit in the B tracks, the B sides.
Okay.
So there's an iTunes. You can listen to the B sides if you took the time to listen to like the extra 3 songs.
Yeah, they have the bonus edition. I was listening to some of those, so I guess
it almost feels like that's like a epilogue. So they
to be fair, I was listening to it on Google Music, and they didn't have that stuff with the main album, so I'll have to go back and find them.
Yeah, they're pretty good as far as B sides and kind of forgotten songs, deluxe edition resells, which a lot of the albums we've covered.
The Japanese version.
Yeah, and they have a vinyl that's got the deluxe one too. And I didn't buy it this time. Every time it's like I don't buy it. I didn't buy the Alabama Shakes one. Kicking myself for that. I didn't buy this one, so I gotta just learn, buy it, and so
buy the deluxe and
then hope it doesn't Joe Walsh me and I get angry at it. So so any skippers for you, Dash?
Too, and you get the same song like it's not a B-side, but remember
like alternate takes.
Right, Don't Cry, version. You get it on A and B of Using Your Illusion. You're like, one of them's clearly better. Like, you should have just stuck with the one.
Yeah.
I'm right there with Travis on this. I don't think there's songs I don't like. I don't like Teenagers, and I don't like In the End. I don't like them where they're at. I don't know if Teenagers fits right there. If you know what I'm saying, like you're just coming off of some really good songs, and then you go into Teenagers, and it's just like, all right. But no, I don't think there's a skipper. I don't think, because again, it's just as Travis said. I'm going to piggyback on what he said. It's a story, so you really can't. You just can't take away from it. But and as Sarah said, in the end, I would probably readjust some of the songs for me to make it fit better. Because like I said, I don't know if Teenagers fits right there. It may be me. And again, I've only listened to it twice. I listened to my first time, got my notes, and I listened to it for a second time. So I don't know if I need to listen to it a couple more times to really feel where these songs go. But just my initial, I would probably change up a couple of things because I really want to get into it. Yeah, shuffle the deck a little bit because I really want to get into it. And I felt like just like Sarah said, you're kind of starting off there, and I just was like, oh man. And then of course you start getting into it. But yeah, I don't have any. There's nothing I would throw off the album at all. Though there's nothing I would throw off the album.
Yeah, I don't have a skipper, but for the life of me, I thought Teenagers was an Offspring song. Up until I played them, like, wait, that's My Chemical Romance?
I could see where you could.
I thought that was an Offspring
where you would
song.
get that.
I'd have bet you money that was an Offspring song. And I was like, what the hell? This song's not the Offspring? I mean, for my life, I've lived it thinking that was just an Offspring song. And yeah, Dexter held back a little bit with the screeching and just a little bit different. But yes, it is not an Offspring song, as I've discovered. And yeah, I'm not going to skip it, but that was just my note on the thing was, holy shit, that's not the Offspring. I'm like, wow, all these years I've been wrong. I've been, I don't know. It's like I never particularly loved it or hated it, but would have told you a million times over that, oh yeah, that's that one by the Offspring. So yes, the moral of my story is that's not the Offspring. Now I've learned that I know
where you.
It always felt to me like I always think when I think of that song, my instinct is always like, oh, that's got to be from American Idiot when he's angry at us, right?
Yeah.
When Green Day's mad at us, right? That's from Green Day's Mad at Us album, right? Oh no, okay.
So we both have the wrong albums. Like, all right, that's Green Day's Wave Your Finger at Us album, or it's just a random Offspring song for me. So it's like, all right. But it's not a My Chemical Romance song. Travis and I both throw it on different albums, like Green Day's thing. No, Teenagers, you suck. George Bush, you suck. What else sucks? I don't know. Green Day can figure out more things that suck. That album's telling us all the things Green Day doesn't like. And now they just toured on it again, so they're still telling us why they suck. So yes, they should just cover Teenagers, put it somewhere in American Idiot. It'd fit right in.
Yeah. Now I like Angry Green Day. I like Angry Green Day, where they remind us that they're the only ones who sold out ethically. It's good. It's good. I like to be reminded that on the regular.
Which is better, Angry Green Day or Angry Rage Against the Machine? Because
there's no nice Rage Against the Machine. Angry Rage Against the Machine.
I don't know. I don't know. I think there's one, but
one song maybe. There's no love song in Rage Against the Machine.
No,
they love to hate the government. That's what they love.
They hate everybody. I don't even think they like anybody, period. Even if Rage doesn't like anybody.
They just like to masturbate. That's back in the day. That's all they wanted to talk about.
That's it. Yeah. Green Day, early Green Day, that was their jam. Now they're like, we're done masturbating and we're here to tell you why the government sucks.
Right.
And Rage Against the Machine, I say if there's funny. A nice level of rage, if you know one, drop it in the comments. I want to know the nice Rage Against the Machine song. Yeah, it might exist. I want to hear like
it does. I'm telling you, it does. I know
expressing his love for something.
The love ballad from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, he'd be screaming that love. It would be intense. All right, so I think we know kind of where we're going to fall on this one, but what are we going to do? Keep this one or return it to the used bin? So, Sarah, what are you doing with this album?
Keeping it. I'm definitely keeping it.
Travis, what are you doing?
I'm too much of a theater kid to not love this little emo crying kid, Jared Way.
Yes.
I love his little emo heart.
Yes. And what about you, Dash? You keeping it or returning it?
Yeah, this is one where when you're in the mood, when I'm writing, this is one that's going to pop out. So especially if I need like I said earlier, a deep emotional scene in my book, in my novels, this one's going to come out to help with that, because so I'll keep it. Yeah, I'll keep it.
Yeah. It's not a feel-good road trip album. We're not going to play it and like, all right, let's sing along in the car. That one won't work.
Let's go, kids. We're gonna jump on Cancer real quick here.
Yeah. All right, kids, sing with me. All right, and yeah, I'm keeping it. We're not going to give this one to Lori to destroy with one of her random weapons. So this one will be kept. And
how many Kate Bushes does it get?
Oh, well, let's see. Because I don't know if a Kate Bush is good or bad. That's the thing. Like, I think one Kate Bush is one too many.
5 Kate Bushes is bad. One Kate Bush.
Kate Bush.
Joe Walsh got 5
Kate
Bushes.
Bushes is the best, I suppose.
Yeah. So 0 Kate Bushes is the best. So yeah, I guess we'll give it like 1.5 Kate Bushes because it's good.
I was thinking like 1 Kate Bush.
Yeah, like 1. Yeah, it's not in the 5 Kate Bush category. Last week's album would have got 5 Kate Bushes.
Joe Walsh has got 5 Kate Bushes. Yes.
Yeah, that album. But the show got the show only gets 0 Kate Bushes because we had fun and we were.
What's important.
I was mean, and that's okay. No one was.
I cried for another. I cried for another 20 minutes after the show was over.
Yes. Yeah, we were having a good time.
I cried. I cried for another 20 minutes after the show was over. I was talking to Ray the next day on the show, and I was like, I literally cried for another, just laughing because it was so funny. That show was so fun.
Man, yeah. Well, I guess that's the thing. The worse the worse the album is, the more fun we have annihilating it. When we like the album, we're just like, all right, we're gonna look back, we're gonna reflect. Travis is gonna tell us some of his theater days, so we have the good stories. Not me completely losing my mind. And then the early question: what songs you want to see in a movie? I know the Black Parade was it one of the Clerks movies? Was it Clerks 3 maybe?
Clerks 3.
He hosted with that
because it was about his.
That was in 3.
Got it from the heart band. Yep.
Yeah, so that one opened it. The Black Parade, you could suit the kind of like when we.
Do you want some knowledge on that though?
Let's hear it.
So he because it's Jersey, right? So he went to, when you think of Jersey, you think of one person. So he went to the whole list of all the Jersey musicians. And they all try to charge him like top dollar. Like I actually heard this. Me and my wife was at one. We go to all of his Q&As. In fact, we have one for document next month. And Gerald Way, because he talked about it because of the love of comics and love of Kevin Smith, he sold it to him for $1.
Wow.
Right. Wow. So for the user's rights. But everyone else was trying to do it. Or maybe it wasn't $1. That's probably not right. It's some sort of small amount of money. But then
small amount.
He would use that leverage for every music since then because of so all the other music he's got from his album from Gerald Way from that is pitching. Well, but I got this song for this amount.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance gave it to me for pennies.
Right. So he's been using it to negotiate, which was such an interesting thing.
That's a good way to. That's a good way to negotiate, though. That's
the tactic.
Smart
that song's way better than your shitty song, and he sold it to me for this much.
Right. Look at how much that song brought in, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
That's a 2000s anthem, and you want to charge me for your mediocre mid-level song? No. Like I paid $100 for that. I'll give you $85. Yeah,
I think it was in the original cut, and he showed it to him, like, "Hey, this is where we want to use it of the film." And why it's important, and that I wish I remembered all the details, but I've seen him so many times, which sucks because that was one of the few. Because most of the time, because I've seen him so many times, like 75% of it's the same story he's told.
Yeah, you get a lot of them again.
That was one of the ones where like, oh, this is the 25% I get to pay attention. Hold on.
Yeah, because none of his stories are short. So you go, okay, I've heard this one, and this one's going to last 45 minutes. So. Right. Yeah, same thing.
And that's
I see him anytime he's out as well.
Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy. The best one, again, not on topic, but I saw him at Star Wars once, the Star Wars Con, whatever that's called, experience or whatever. Yeah. And he just talked about his Star Wars toys instead of any of his movies. That was fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, he's one we always see, and he does his podcast, The Fat Man Beyond. He does that in LA, so you can go. I see him do that one, and that one you normally get different stories, and it's always good. But I think the last time I saw him, 80% of the stories I had already heard. So I'm like, oh man, most of this set is just kind of rehashing stuff that I've heard, but it's still entertaining. Like, even though you've heard the story before, you're like, damn, that guy can spin a yarn. He is amazing at that. All right. So next week, let's talk about which one we're doing. And Lori, I like albums. You just don't tune in. You just tune into the ones I'm pissing and moaning about. You just missed the weeks. Like, you could have turned in Alabama Shakes, and Dash and I were just gushing for an hour. Like,
yes,
this is the greatest shit. All I was yelling at was people who talk at concerts, and that was different. They suck. Fuck them. Still, I say that. So
the last time I was on the show, we were talking about Wicked, and you liked that one. If I
remember. I wasn't mean about Wicked.
You all liked Wicked.
It comes down to this. If it was released in the 1970s, most likely I'm going to piss and moan and complain about it.
Is the next one?
No.
Next one's in the 1970s too, isn't it?
I don't know, but I like Elvis Costello. So yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, it's
80s. You catch me when I'm off my rocker and just like breaking, and that's okay because I'm all right with that, and I can just lose my mind and do it on the way on the air. But next week, Elvis Costello. So,
hey, Lori, right. I got one more thing for Lori real quick. Lori, Stuntman Mike better win. Stuntman Mike better win. That's all I got to say.
Almost Karen-ish. All right. So, yes. And you encourage me freaking out, and that's all right. And I encourage it too. So, next week, Elvis Costello and the Attractions Get Happy with Chuck. He's coming back for next week's show. So Chuck will be joining us for another album. He came for Gordon Lightfoot. I complained. Let's see, because I like Elvis Costello. I'm going to come in and say that right now. I like Elvis Costello. I've seen him play multiple times.
Which Chuck?
What's Chuck Pinot?
Are you allowed to have him on? He's from Canada. We're not allowed to like Canada people anymore. Haven't you been paying attention to politics?
Gordon Lightfoot was from Canada, so it was a kind of a prerequisite that we have Chuck on, because he's the Canadian expert for this. And Elvis Costello, I don't know, he's from England, but we don't like England either. So won't Stuntman. He's currently lead. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. So there we go.
The smashing of the pumpkin. The smashing of the she's going to use her bat saw. Her smasher.
And so yes, and we're going to send her the copy of last week's album so she can destroy it as our opener for one of the weeks. So it'll be fun watching Joe Walsh get smashed, because I'm not playing that shit again. So fuck it, take it and destroy it. It will not be hitting my turntable another time. All right, so now we got to close it out with some of our sponsors. So let me get those all queued up. Let me find where they are. We have 4 of them, I think. Yeah, 4 of them. So here we go. Let's check them out. All right. So there's that one. We know her. She has stuff for school. I got to look into it. But my brain will not remember. So if she's out watching, then remind me, get stuff from my classroom. So we have a new one. I think this is new. It's Alice. Let's check it out.
Beyond the world we know is a place where reality bends and time stands still. A place where legends, fairy tales, and nightmares are real. A world where legends are born and destinies collide. Alice has spent her life lost in an interdimensional rift known as Wonderland, and it forged her into a deadly bounty hunter. With her ancient clockwork guardian Big Ten by her side, they hunt the things that stalk the shadows of Wonderland. Alice Lost in Wonderland, issues 1 and 2 launch May 6 on Kickstarter. Follow along at GoMrFish.com.
Shout out Fish. Fish is the man. He provided the greatest stories on my Saturday show. Like, his childhood was insane and it was beautiful. I loved that episode. It's still my favorite crazy stories from Mr. Fish. So yes, support Fish. He's the man. And let's see. Here's our next one.
I don't really want to stop her. I just want her to live her life. She seems happy.
The cat?
No, the slaughter.
Oh, slaughter? Okay. I don't know.
Slaughter.
I've seen these ads a lot, and you know what? I still.
She lives in Slaughterville. That's not my problem. I live in Florida. It's fine. I don't live in
I'm in California. I'm content.
If you live in Slaughterville, you're gonna get murdered. That's on you. Really, that's not.
Yeah, it's like if you move next to the Hellmouth on Buffy. All right, you know what?
Right.
It's called the Hellmouth. You're not picking good real estate. It might be cheap. I mean, you can move into the Amityville house, and you might get it for less than market value, but you're gonna slaughter your family, so it's a bad call.
Right.
All right. Here's one more.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
All right, so Sarah, Travis, thank you for joining us today. You're welcome anytime. If you see an album you want to talk about, come and join us. If you see a 70s album and you want to see me melt down, tune in for that, because I'll lose my mind. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming up. If you want to hear an album, if you want to request one, we drop it in the comments. We honor all the requests. We have, I think, 3 or 4 requests coming up, and doesn't even matter if it sounds terrible to me, to Dash. We will play it. We got stuff that we would never pick otherwise coming up through May and June. And, of course, still pumping it up. We have Bear vs. Shark coming into the studio. So if you're a fan of post-hardcore, emo, that's, it's going to be good stuff. And the band will be talking the album with us on the show. So I'm pumped up for that one. And then, we're going to be talking about Flamingo Overlords as well with the band joining us. So that one's going to be crazy. And I have a really crazy ass flamingo hat that I will wear for that episode. So yes, good stuff coming up. We'll have our new schedule dropping. Oh, I'm going to get a flamingo. We're on the last 2 albums of this one. So we're closing out this batch of albums. So next week it's Elvis Costello with Chuck. We Don't Hate Canada. So we're going to have him on here still. And he's going to tell us why this album is good. So until then, thank you both so much for coming on. Appreciate having you and hearing your insights. And anytime you are welcome to join us. If you have something you want to promote, come on, tell us all about it, because we do at the end. If you have something to promote, then your commercial can get in here and you can tell us what we need to buy, because soon enough I'm sure Cthulhu will be what they need to buy, and I'll be promoting the heck out of that one too. So yeah, I'm ready for that. Everyone at my table's ready for that. They come to the cons, they're like, when's the full version coming? I'm like, you just got to buy the preview one
a whole bunch of times to be like, you didn't read it all. Read the back of it. It's fine.
Yeah. So
it's at the printer. I had to wait because of tariffs.
Yeah, of course.
I had to wait to figure out. Basically, it was an email back and forth. They're like, but we can't control how crazy your president is. And I'm like, yes, but according to my president, your president is crazy.
Yeah.
So it was a fight. So we agreed on a set amount that they'll eat it if it goes that. So
okay.
It's
tough. Coming soon. So people who've been coming to my table and asking, there's your answer. It's coming. It's, the tariffs have been negotiated. Travis has settled a dollar amount that he's happy with. It's not as good as the deal that Kevin Smith got on the My Chemical Romance song, but
or the deal of when I originally sent it to them prior to January 1st. It was a better deal.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. But no, it's coming. It's coming as soon as possible, and people will be happy. People get it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are going to say goodbye. We will see you next week with Chuck, friend of the show, coming back to talk Elvis Costello. So until then, have a great week. I'll see you on Saturday for Saturday morning comic talk, and have a great night.
Click on the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Oh! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens day.